This is Rob Tebbett for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted to be joined once again by legendary Cutman, boxing extraordinaire, Mr. Stitch Duran, arguably one of the most popular men in the Las Vegas media room here, ahead of Wilder Fury 2. How are you, Stitch? Nice to see you again.
Hey, Rob, man. It's now to sit down and chat with you, man. So, look forward to it.
Last time I spoke to you was before Canelo Kovalev. This was before you had been announced as Tyson Fury's Cutman, going into his fight with Deontay Wilder. Tell us a little bit about how it came about, Stitch. How were you added to the team?
With Tyson Fury, it started with Taylor Berry that worked the corner with Tyson Fury last fight, and Kevin Berry, his son, and Kevin Berry. They contacted me and says that they were going to bring it up to Tyson Fury about me working with him, but then I got a call and they told me that somebody else that it's you're being considered. There's other guys and all that, and then I finally get a call and say, man, Tyson wants to meet you. And I heard that Bob Arum was asking about me, so he wanted me on board, and Mike Tyson Fury wanted me on board. So I met him a couple of weeks ago, and what an experience for him.
Had you met Tyson before? Or is that the first time you met him?
Yeah, I was on the opposite side of the corner. I was with Vladimir Klitschko when Tyson Fury beat him, and I was telling Tyson, I said, when you guys fought, I thought Vladimir just had a bad day, but then I saw you fight Deontay Wilder, and I was so impressed with what you did offensively and defensively that I became a fan of yours. And here we are now, working together. But that's what I do. I'm there to take care of fighters, to give them that one more round all the time. And, for me to be considered to work with Tyson Fury by recommendations of himself and Bob Arum, don't get much better than that.
Now, you're not somebody who's short of work or short of job opportunities. I know for a fact that you've turned down some very lucrative job offers because, for lack of a better way of saying it, you just don't necessarily want to work with that person. You've taken this on, you're working with Tyson Fury. What was it about Tyson that appealed to you about working with him?
Well, he's taking care of me. Number one, that was the first thing. They said, look, man, he wants you, and here's the fees and this and that, and yeah, of course, But as I look at it, to work with him as a gentleman, I've studied him for the last 2 weeks, and I just told him yesterday, I said, man, I just like you, man. Your personality is good, your intensity and what you do he's very, very disciplined in what he does in his own way, but that is what beat Vladimir Klitschko. So he's doing it. Sugar Hills, they have a game plan, which is nice. So I've worked with Sugar Hill before, and Andy Lee also. So it's a good combination. Jorge Capetillo will be in the corner also. So it's gonna be fun.
You mentioned Jorge Capetillo. Of course, he's infamous now for being the impromptu Cutman in the Otto Wallin fight. As a Cutman, I think I've asked you this before, do you look at somebody who has a cut like that and think, oh, I'd really like to work with that person, I'd really to stop that opening up again? Because obviously you see trainers look at fighters and go, I'd really like to work with him, I feel like I can add this and I can add that. Is it the same for a Cutman?
Well, it's, I look at techniques. Of course, I study everybody, and I look at techniques and all that on what are the probable things to do to minimize any damage. And so I look at that, but, this fight here, just for me on the marketing aspect, is tremendous. I'm doing interviews everywhere, and I have guys that never probably considered me as sponsors before. Got them on my vest. Can I add a little side story to this? Let me tell you about Tyson Fury, man. And to me, I've worked with so many great fighters, and been in so many great fights. But I go to Tyson Fury. We meet, puts his hand out, he shakes, welcome to the team, and all that, and we're talking, and we look at the cut and what have you not, and then for me it's a business. So I said, Tyson, I have a new company and I have sponsors. Would you mind if I created an outfit to look like your colors and have my sponsors? And he puts his hand on my shoulder and says, Stitch, do whatever you want. So that's how we started off, bro. And it's going to be fun. I've been in a lot of great fights, and somebody asked me yesterday, where does this rank on all the great fights that you've done? And I kind of thought, and real quickly, is when Klitschko fought Joshua, and then this one right here. But this one, just the energy level is high. Normally I just show up the day before the fights, right? Get on the scale and here, but I live here in Las Vegas and been doing a lot of interviews. But it's good to do one with you, bro. It's always, you can see we're hanging out. We're talking war stories that you haven't heard yet.
Yeah, we'll probably keep those stories off camera. But you mentioned kind of meeting Tyson first and taking a look at the cut. What was your initial impression? What jumped out at you?
I thought the surgeon did a great job. I did a super job, you know, and getting into that, you know, we looked at the second cut and you know, those I've worked on many times, you know. But I told him, I said, you know, my job is for you to. I told him I'm going to do preventive maintenance on you every round. I'm going to keep ice on you, the KO swell, kind of minimize any chances of swelling and all that, and then, you know, I'll work on you that way. And my job is for you to walk out as handsome as you walk in. And you know, that's the psychological. You have to let him know that I'm here to cover his back. And then finally I told him, like I tell all fighters, you know, in the ring, you know, I'm going to treat you like you're my son. You know, so I know it's a serious fight, big time. I know it's big time for Tyson Fury, you know, and it's going to take him to a different planet.
No, I appreciate cuts can happen at any time in a fight. It could be an elbow, a clash of heads, a punch, whatever. But obviously you're going into a fight with a fighter who has had a significant cut in his last fight. What percentage or what likelihood would you say of that particular cut reopening in this fight?
You know, you said the operative word, percentage, right? And I always look at percentages. The chances of that opening up again is I wouldn't bet on it. You know? So, you know, I think the doctor did a good job, and, you know, me just, you know, keeping ice on it every, you know, that 1 minute in between rounds, you know, and his defense, you know, has gotten tremendous. And that's the thing I like about Tyson Fury. Not only does he have a good defense, he has a good offense, and is very unorthodox. And we're playing around because he was throwing kicks, and kickboxing was my background, right? So I just said, oh yeah, so he kind of throws a kick and we rumble a little bit, and I throw an elbow, and, you know, came this close, but he said, oh, okay. So yeah, it's a good guy, man.
I've been around you in the gym, and obviously I know that you've worked with a number of huge names in the sport. But having somebody like Tyson, who is quite a gregarious character, is very boisterous around the gym, something that you're of a similar ilk, does that make you really relish and look forward to working with somebody like that when you've got that kind of energy in the gym?
Yeah, 100% right, man. And not only that, but the whole family, the whole team. You know, the Irish Travelers. You know, first thing, you know, we sit down is I want to know about you. You know, because like I told Tyson, I like to get into the heart and soul of the fighters and understand them outside of just throwing blows, right? But, you know, they're telling me the stories about the Irish Travelers, and I grew up as a farm worker. You know, I'm Mexican by nationality, so I'm the guy that was picking the peaches and tomatoes and cotton and shit. You ate it, I picked it, bro, literally what I did. So we have that in common. That's a little, you know, bond that you could create. But the whole team are just super guys, man. It's fun. It is fun.
You've got such an interesting career. I mean, you've worked with the likes of Conor McGregor across MMA. You've worked, as you mentioned, Anthony Joshua, Vladimir Klitschko, Tyson Fury. You've worked in numerous other. We can't sit here and list all of them. Which moment in particular stands out for you, if at all? Which camp, which fight? Maybe it's just a moment that's not even involved in any of it, a personal moment. Does anything in particular stand out?
There's so many great moments, Rob. You know, you have to read my book. It's called From the Fields to the Garden. It's available at Amazon. No, but
you're more than welcome to plug your stuff on our channel.
But you know what? Let me tell you once. Well, okay, the one that really stands out right now is when Vladimir Klitschko fought Anthony Joshua. My daughter Carla got married in Crete on Wednesday, so Thursday I flew to London, and I didn't see Vladimir until Friday at the weigh-ins. And you know, I've been with him 10 years, I think it's 12 years, and he knows he has a lot of confidence in me. So I tell him at the end, once again, I put my hand on his shoulder. I say, you know, don't worry about nothing tomorrow. I'm going to take care of you like you're my son. Yeah. So I leave. And the next day, we're in the middle of the ring. Before Michael Buffer does his announcements, I'm putting the final Vaseline on Vladimir. We're this far apart. And he says, you can call me son. Man, if that wasn't a moment that just kind of gave me chills, because I knew I'd gotten into his head that night before. And you know, I know fighters, anxiety kicks in. You got to keep your, you know, adrenaline level at a certain pace so you don't burn yourself out through nerves and all that. And I knew he took that out of his mind. And that's what I want to create with fighters. That's what I do. So that's a great moment. I got to tell you one in MMA. Wanderlei Silva is fighting Chuck Liddell, and I'm working the corner with Chuck Liddell, and my man. Yes, and so at the end of the fight, well, about a week before I told Wanderlei, you know, I want to wish you good luck, good karma. It's the day of my birthday. You know, it was December the 29th, and so they had a show here, and he gets beat up, man. It's a war. A war. I could hear punches just cracking each other. And Chuck gets cut. I take care of him. Vanderlei is being taken by Leon Tabs. And the fight's over, and I clean up Chuck, and I go to Vanderlei because we're friends. And I said, Vanderlei, how you doing? And he's all swollen and all that. He said, no, Steve, I'm good. He said, Steve, happy birthday. I said, oh, man, talk about a moment. This guy was one of the roughest fights ever of his career, and he wished me happy birthday. So, that's the kind of love I get from these guys. There's a certain bond you create because they know I'm there for one thing and one thing only. That's to take care of them.
Have you spoken to Vladimir about working with Tyson? Obviously, they've had their moments in the past, both inside the ring and outside of the ring. Have you spoken to him?
No, I haven't. I don't think I have to. Vladimir understands my business. And he knows that whatever I do it for the game, the safety of the fighters. So he knows that, no doubt. But working with him was always a tremendous event. Him and Vitaly. Me, this little guy that grew up as a farm worker, working with all these best fighters in the world, it's quite a mind blower.
That's one of the things that I like talking to you about. You've been in the sport for so long. You've attended such huge events across a multitude of sports, but you still have this almost boyish zeal and zest for the sport. Is that something that, I'm assuming you hope you never lose that?
Hey, man, I grew up this way, and we're all humble and hardworking, and I like myself then, and why would I change now, right? But people say that, hey, man, you same guy? Yeah, I'm the same guy that I grew up, as a kid with. I just called two of my friends last night that went to high school together, and haven't seen one of them since then. And but I always try to stay in touch.
I've mentioned his name in this interview. Somebody that you've worked with, who Tyson Fury has had his name kind of linked with, particularly in the media over recent months. Conor McGregor, a showman. Tyson Fury himself, a showman. How would you compare the two, personality-wise? Well,
I think Tyson has a lot more energy than Conor McGregor. They're both great at what they do, man. Like I say, this is a business for all of us, and marketing 101 is key to everything. And Tyson and Conor McGregor are good at what they do, bro. And it's been great working with both of them. First time I worked with Conor was, I think he fought in Sweden, and of course he did where he destroyed the guy, and I said, man, I said, the Irish are the Mexicans of this side of the water because you guys can fight, man. And so I worked his corners when I was with the UFC. It was fun.
Okay, well, Stitch Duran, always a pleasure catching up with you. As I mentioned at the start of the interview, you're one of the certainly most sought after people in the media room at the minute, so I'm going to let you go. I've had enough of your time. Thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social. Always a pleasure. Hopefully catch up with you sometime soon.
Oh, come on, anytime. Doors are always open, brother. Welcome back to Vegas.